we want to make sure everyone's making money. And in the performance marketing space, that's how it works. You got to make sure your numbers are right.
Now, when it comes down to like sustaining campaigns, because I'm sure you kind of learned this side of the business, because, you know, it's one thing to get an account. It's a whole nother thing to keep
manage
that account.
it.
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing. So what have been some of those takeaways that you've had there in terms of like what has either hurt you from being able to keep and sustain accounts, and what has helped you be able to keep and sustain accounts?
That's a good question. I think there's a big difference between the call side and the traffic side. And I think on the call side, it does get a little bit murky. It can be a little bit more trickier, in my experience at least, because there's a lot more management, hands-on management that's involved with calls. Because, you know, with calls, the publishers who are generating them, they want to know that we're doing a good job of making sure that these calls are being answered, first of all, by human beings, and that they are that the buyer is doing their part. So it goes back to us facilitating those deals and managing those deals. But to go back to your question, I think the biggest thing I've learned about account management, it really comes down to the numbers. With traffic, it's got a lot to do with those numbers, the CPA, the publisher's cost per lead, the amount of volume that you want to start them out at, because, you know, different buyers, different advertisers can take on, you know, different amounts of volume. It all comes down to those numbers, I think, on the traffic side, and making sure that everything is adding up correctly. Because, you know, one thing could be off, and now we're not making money, or now the publisher's not making money. So it really is just, you know, staying within those lines. You want to always be diligent with those numbers and where you're at, because we want to make sure everyone's making money. And in the performance marketing space, that's how it works. You got to make sure your numbers are right.
Yeah.
To make sure everyone's making money.
The money always has to be right, you guys. Advertisers need to make sure they pay their bills on time. Publishers need to make sure they get paid on time.